All right, guys, welcome to week 2. This week we're going to learn about 7th grade concepts, and we're going to start off with levels of organization. So everything in nature is organized into different categories or in different levels. And I'm going to use this analogy with money to help explain how things are organized a little better. Okay, so if I gave you these items on your desk and asked you, can you organize these for me? Some of you are going to go coins on one side, dollar bills on the other. Some of you are going to say, we're going to put the ones together, the fives together, the tens together, and the 20s together. Okay? Or some of you might go ahead and just say, we're going to organize it from greatest value down to its least value. So that's the $20 bill down all the way to the penny. Now, this way of organization gives us a better insight or better understanding, better idea of how nature is organized. For example, we know that this is 1 penny. Okay? To get to a nickel, now still using the idea of pennies, to get to a nickel, we're going to need 5 pennies. To get to a dime, 10. To a quarter, to a dollar, $5, $10, and then $20. So right now you're saying, okay, this is boring. We already know this. This is easy. Why are we learning this? Well, this makes it easier to understand how a human being is put together, how we are organized ourselves, how your dog is organized, your cat, your fish, okay, your little brother or sister, your mom or dad. These are how we are organized, okay? So at the very bottom, the penny, that is our smallest level, okay? That is our smallest level. Then you have your largest level, which is the $20 bill. But I want to show you that there are simple and complex terms used to describe these as well. So when you see on a piece of paper, on a worksheet, on a test, where you have levels of organization, you're given examples, you have pictures, you have words. If they ask you to organize them from the simple to most complex, well, they want you to go from the smallest to the largest, and vice versa. If they want you to go from the most complex to the simple, they want you to go from the largest to the smallest. This is how humans, this is how us, organisms, are organized as well. So our penny is represented, or I'm sorry, our smallest level, which is a penny, is a cell. Okay? You get a bunch of cells together, then you make tissue. 5 pennies make a nickel. That's tissue. You get more tissue, then you make an organ. So 2 nickels, 2 tissues equals an organ. Okay? Or 10 pennies equal an organ. Then you have organ, which is our dime. Then you have an organ system. After organ system, you have the dollar, which is organism. In 6th grade, we started off with organism. So these down here, we didn't even talk about in 6th grade. We started here, organism. You get a whole bunch of $1 bills, or you get a whole bunch of dogs together, okay? Then you have this level, right? Community. After community, I'm sorry, it was population. Teacher mistake. So you have organism, and then you have population, because it's the same thing. Then you include all the living things together, then you make a community. Then you add the non-living things too, then you have an ecosystem. So if I had like a $50 bill, then that would be the biome, right? All the organisms, all the ecosystems put together. If I had a $100 bill, then that would be the earth, the biosphere. So it just keeps going all the way up, okay? So the way money is put together is the same way nature puts all living things together, okay? In categories, in levels, all right? So what I want to do is I'm going to talk about today's assignment. So let me share my screen. Okay, so now here is your Schoology assignment. We are in the first grading period. We go to week 2. Here's your week at a glance. Now your week at a glance, since we're talking about science in general, is going to include, number 1, the topic from 7th grade. So you'll see this number right here, 7.12c. And then the topic from 6th grade that goes with it that we can use as a review. And both of these talk about levels of organization. So for Monday, you are going to read about the different levels of biological organization. You're going to do another analogy like we did with the money. You're going to read about the different levels, and you're going to do a vocabulary matchup. Okay? So let me scroll down, look at Monday, and we can go over your assignment today. All right, so here's a tip just in case you need to zoom in on something. If the font or the screen or the picture is too small, you can either zoom in by utilizing this magnifying glass here, or you can go into View, go into Zoom, and then you can zoom in or out, or if you want to type in the code, hit the Control-Alt button, and if you hit the plus, it'll make it bigger, it'll zoom in, or if you hit the Control-Alt with the minus, it'll make it smaller, it'll zoom out, okay? So just giving you a little hint. All right, so taking a look at your slide number 2, Levels of Organization Intro. So you saw the first part of this lesson using money to talk about levels of organization. Now I want you to look at parts of a book, okay? So you have word, you have chapter, paragraph, sentence, or letter. You need to put these in order from the smallest, the most simplest form, to complex, the largest form. So we know that anything with regards to a word or a book, the very smallest thing that we can look at is a letter, okay? When you put a whole bunch of letters together, they make up this next level. Then you get letters, or you get this, a bunch of these together and makes up this, and then so on and so forth. So letter is where we start off first, and then how does it get bigger, or what increases as you move on, okay? Slide 3 is where you start your reading. Here are some key words that you're going to be looking at: cell, tissue, organ, organ system, organism. Here's a brief description of all 5, so make sure that you are looking at those. Then we get into your reading about the levels. The first slide right here, slide number 4, just gives you an example of you always being asked to organize something. Your mom or dad or aunt or whoever is going through your backpack, and they just tell you, oh my God, this is so messy. What are you doing? You need to clean this up. They're going to ask you to organize it, okay? So how do you organize it? What are you going to put together? Okay, you can't just shove it in your backpack anymore. I like to organize my closet. So my clothes in the closet are organized by the style of shirt. So I'll have t-shirts together, I'll have my polo shirts together, I'll have my button-up shirts together, and then I just do it by color as well. So what is something that you keep organized, and tell me how you organize it. Then we can get to the different levels, and each level gets its own slide. So this slide talks about the cell. Then we talk about tissue. Then it talks about the organ, organ system, and then finally organism. There are some questions that go along with the slide. The answers are going to be in the reading. Okay, so make sure you read it. The final part of your assignment is to match up your keyword with the definition and picture. Okay, in order to do that, you're going to have to draw arrows. Now you're using a computer, so you can't use a pen. So here's what you're going to do. I gave you a little hint on where to find the arrow. Here is a little snapshot of your toolbar located at the top of the screen. You want to find this right here. Let me switch out to my cursor. You want to find that symbol. That's a line. So that's this right here. If I click the little caret, the arrow pointing down, it gives me options to choose from. Obviously, because I circled it, I want the arrow. Okay, let me zoom back out. I want to match up keywords to the definition and to the picture. So I know right now, looking at this, that cell is the most basic unit and structure of all living things. That definition happens to be right next door. So I'm going to click my mouse, I'm going to drag my cursor, and then I'm going to release, and I just created an arrow pointing from the cell to the definition. I also need to match up from the definition to the picture. So I'm going to click my arrow again. Notice my cursor did change to a plus symbol or to a cross symbol. Now I've got to choose between one of these four pictures left over to which one is my cell. Well, if I know cell is a single thing, it's very small, it's probably going to be this guy. Now there is another picture that looks just like it, but if I look, there's a bunch more of these oval shapes, and this guy only has one. So this is our cell. That means this thing right here is made up of a bunch of cells. So who is that going to be? Okay. If you have any questions on today's assignment, make sure that you do email me. Make sure that you are completing the work the day of. Okay. If you did not or could not make it to class today on time, remember the first 15 minutes of class is where you need to be with me on our Zoom links. If you were not able to be there, completing the assignments does count you as present, so make sure you are completing the assignments the day of. If you have any questions, make sure you email me, and I will see you tomorrow.